It's taken me about 6 years, 4 garments, a trip to view Monet's artwork in person, and about 1,000 hours of hand embroidery in order to arrive at this creation right here. It is January 19th. It is a very exciting morning. It's also a very cold morning here in my office. I've got my electric socks on. Well, I've got socks over my electric socks because insulation. I'm trying. Anywho, it's cold. My heater here at the office, it leaves a lot to be desired. I've got my space heaters queued up. Don't want to, with the sound for the audio, I've got them turned off. I am just soldiering on. I also have Felice queued up.
Hi everybody, my name is Felice.
So grateful to Felice, molto grazie por imparare, insegnare. I'm clearly still very much a beginner. Por, Italiano. Anywho, today feels like a milestone in my sewing journey, in just growth, and today starts the last, don't mind that. Today starts the last dress of the shadow embroidery. That's what this is called. Shadow embroidery series. This is the dress I'm making for Everly. And I am so excited to get into it. I want to put my absolute all into it. All the stuff that I learned from shadow embroidery. And at this point, I'm really excited to do this project, and then I think after this project, shadow embroidery will always be a thing for me. I absolutely adore the technique. I think it's just beautiful, and it's simple embroidery. It's just a straight stitch over and over and over again, so you really can't mess it up. It's not like a bullion or cut work. It's not advanced at all. It's just repetitive, which is good, right? But I think after this last dress, I'm going to be taking a break from it, just doing other things. There's other stuff to learn, but the stuff that I've learned from previous projects, I'm just gonna bring it all and I always try to do my best. It's never about perfection, but it's always about trying to do your best. I want to bring depth. I want to bring light. I want to bring more detail. All the stuff that I've learned from previous projects, I want to bring it and kind of have it all come together for this project. So this morning I am going to be tracing her out. I have a plan in mind because of all the detail and everything. There's a lot to trace out that I'm going to be spraying it. I actually did a practice run. I sprayed it with the stuff that I had. I thought, it's okay. Then I ordered stuff, and that was a hot mess in a hurry. I want to return it. Amazon's giving me an issue. I gotta type to the computer and have them. It's fine. So that's my plan. I did try it out. I tried it out with all the colors. Well, that's the other thing, is that there's so much detail in this design that I got all the colors for the friction heat activated pins, and I tried them out with the spray adhesive. Just wanted to dot my T's, cross my T's, dot my I's. That's how it goes. To think about what the letter looks like. Anywho, because I didn't want the adhesive and the pins and it not to come out, right? I wanted to. So I'm gonna be spraying it down, doing this stuff. All the fabrics for the dresses are a little bit different, but they're an off-white creamy sort of color. The fabric for Everly's dress is a Swiss voile. It's so gorgeous. Of course, it comes from Farmhouse Fabrics. It's delightful, it's airy, it's all the qualities you would want for shadow embroidery. So I'm gonna stop jabbing and just get to it. So excited! I'm so excited for this. So how did I come up with this design? Well, first I went back to the roots, and by that I mean I consulted nature. Okay, let me back up. I knew I wanted to use lavender. After all, I see colors with my children. Audrey is pink, Henry green, Daisy yellow, and Everly purple. So purple, lavender, yes, sounds like a classic that is sweet and beautiful, but will allow me to add some personality. So basically, it sounds like Everly, sweet, beautiful, with some personality. Straight from the source, nature has so many answers and is full of inspiration, n'est-ce pas? I searched for photos of lavender, consulted the real deal, which is how I'm arriving at these clusters of lavender with these, those butterflies, the ladybugs, bumblebees. Then I'm trying to keep the rose of lavender feel, keep that feel of the rose as I apply it to the circle skirt. So I mark off the circle in degrees of 30-degree sections. So that means there's going to be 12 lavender plants separated by 12 grass bits. Since I have a full circle skirt in my hands, 360 divided by 30 degrees gets you to the 12 sections. My goal is to copy the real deal as best as I can, trying to get as much of the detail as possible. And that's how those little specks of light arrived into the design. Those little dots that can appear in photos. I did me a Google search and I guess they're called orbs. Well, I thought they would be a fun piece to put into this puzzle. And now then, I want to have that quintessential basket on this garment. And it seems like the bodice was the natural place to place her. Overall, the design was taking shape, but now, how to get some of the design to go from the bodice to the skirt? That's one of the pieces of this puzzle. Some of the design needs to come from the bodice and flow onto the skirt in a fluid-ish manner, as you can see with the previous two dresses. Audrey's flows, and then I've got Daisy's flowing as well a little bit. So how to do that? So first I placed some grass, but I don't like it. It looks forced, and I want to keep things fluid, light, airy, especially with my last big project being the Monet jacket, which was all about trying to play around with light. Well, maybe let's go grab some light, perhaps a sunrise or something, right? I play around with that a bit, but pretty quickly I'm thinking I need some help. What shape to make the sunrise? Funny story, but earlier that day, I heard me this little tidbit.
But I started to just steal. Steal. Full on steal. And I would listen to Frank Sinatra with the Pied Pipers, and I would try to emulate. There was all these things that I would just oh my God, I love that, and then I would steal it all. And I would try to emulate all of it. And then one day, this is the way I do it now. Taking all those things and
that's what creativity is, right?
It is, man. But I remember the first time I met Tony Bennett, I said, I'm a huge fan. I've stolen so much from you and Bing and Frank and all of them. And he said, good. He said, because if you steal from one person, you're just a thief. But when you steal from everybody, it's research.
So I'm going to steal from Van Gogh. I hope he doesn't mind.
But I started to just steal. Steal. Full on steal. There was all these things that I would just oh my God, I love that, and then I would steal it all. And I would try to emulate all of it. And then one day, this is the way I do it now.
In case you are curious too, there are some 4,906 objects on the Van Gogh Sunrise Swirl and 4,948 objects on the skirt, and then some 404 on the bodice. I didn't actually digitize the basket, so I don't know, something around 10,000 objects to embroider.
Come più o meno.
And there she was, taking or stealing
Steal.
from the photos, capturing Mother Nature down to as much detail as I could, carefully going around the curves of even the wings of the butterflies and the bumblebees, all the details I could get into this thing, taking my lessons from that Monet jacket and trying to incorporate as I bring in those little dust of lights so they can dance around the skirts.
Daisy.
Rims. What happened to the front of it?
The earbuds. What?
Oh, is this the... Where's the other piece? Hold on. This did not print right.
Why?
Look, we're missing bits and pieces. Let's try that and see what happens. Worst thing, they can use it for coloring sheets. Oh my god, this room's a mess.
Jump. Hey, Mommy, whose dress is this for?
Everly.
Jump. Yeah, I like that. I like all animals.
Thank
The
you.
bee. And the fire labor. Butterfly. Chop. What?
Hey, there we go.
See, normally I would say you're crazy thinking about doing something like that, but I'm very well versed in you. And I know you're not crazy. You're a little crazy, but
You know it's gonna get done.
I know it's going to get done. So I'd say, to a normal person, I'd say you're crazy for thinking about doing that. But to you, I say, dang, I can't wait till you get that done. Those butterflies are pretty solid. Did you do those?
I copied them from the source.
I'm going to go too slow. Supposed to go too slow. Yeah, I think it is.
I probably have 100 hours into this design on the computer. Because spacing the swirl, I spaced each one individually. Like not these. I mean, I spaced one
Yeah, I saw
time
you on it.
individually.
That's
But
like
the
on
swirl, I
copy of the
spaced.
date or
Yeah, the bingo. Yeah,
Bingo.
I spaced each one of those individually because that was the only way I got the look that I liked. There was no way to copy and paste it.
Well, and it was also always spacing the angle. Like I saw you got.
Oh yeah, that's what I
rotate the
mean.
Angle just like a little bit.
That's what I mean when I say space. All right, let's roll a button. It's okay. It's okay. Let's just roll it. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Didn't print it.
That's
Is that what you? What's this?
No, that's because that's gonna be. No, wait. No, you're right. It still needs a print. No, it still needs to print the other side. Maybe if I do landscape, it'll print the other parts. Don't touch, please don't touch. Please stop touching. Thank you.
Oh,
Don't touch.
my foot.
You guys want to go color on this?
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder where you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. When the blazing sun is travel in the dark. Thanks you for your tiny spark. You could not see which way to go if you did not twinkle so.
It's okay. just went to sleep.
No, I'm not fine.
It's okay. Everly, don't touch that, please.
Didi, no! Why did you take my paper counting down? No.
Well, 100 and some hours right there. Don't ask.
I don't know. I only know the time lapse because it tells me,
You have the record.
It's not like I sit there and clock it.
Yeah.
I want one.
Yeah, so this is Van Gogh's swirl from about here until here.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is a modified part of some of this.
Gotcha. What do you think, Henry? Does it meet the Henry standard?
I'm going to cut the honey green. The best. I like the gold swivel. Yeah. I like that it's gold.
Remind you of something?
The bee honey.
Bees honey?
Yeah. Bees honey. That's honey. Or like a golden necklace or something.
What about sunset
No.
or sunrise?
Missed the mark on that one. Yeah, you had one job. Throw it away.
Burn it down.
Now, let the journey begin on this garment. I am so grateful to this large workspace. It's 3 tables sandwiched together, so yes, there are some cracks, but I'm turning the skirt around anyways, since that'll be easier to reach, and then it allows me to keep it on my cutting board mat thing, so problem solved. And after about 6 hours or so, she's all traced out. Felice kept me company.
Hi everybody, my name is Felice.
And I find it's just a nice thing to bite off slightly more than I can chew, since that allows for a healthy challenge. And once that's digested, now your system has grown and strengthened. So the next challenge can be a little bigger bite, a little bit more complex. After all, babies learn to walk one wobbly step at a time. But while I am grateful for this office space, it's by no means how I like it to look. It's functional-ish, but at least for me, it leaves a bit to be desired as far as the decor is concerned. But that's okay, one thing at a time, and right now that one thing is to create a little setup so I can maximize my efficiency with this project.
So one of the things I wanted to improve upon with this project is not taking the fabric in and out of an embroidery hoop so much. So I got this thing. Those are pants I need to pin for Henry. But yeah, I've seen this on a number of, I hope I'm standing in the right place and I'm in focus and everything. I'm still my own camera person. So I've seen these on a number of videos from folks who know way more than I do, like in the haute couture land. Not that you need to be in the haute couture land of things to know more than I do, because it doesn't take that level, you know what I mean? But anywho, so if it's good enough, though, for haute couture, it is certainly good enough for little me. Sorry, I hope it didn't just ruin the audio. In here should be a fancy kind of setup so I can work on a large area of fabric at once and not have to like in and out, in and out, in and out. Which, yes, takes time and everything, but it also, every time you do that, it kind of disrupts the fabric and moves the threads around. And I just wanted to refine things a little bit, you know, get a little fancy. So, it's gonna look like this.
I want a designated setup so things are organized and comfortable. These little pop-up tables are wonderful for where I am in life since I'm only renting this office space. So tables like this allow me to move things around easily as I go from one project to another. This office has been reconfigured quite a bit in the 3 years that I rented her. I mean, Everly was still being baked when we signed the lease, and now she's 3, so I took baby and toddler Daisy to work with me, as well as newborn Everly. Lots and lots of memories here, some good, some chaotic, some tears, some naps. Heck, at one point there was a bed so we could nap together. Anywho, I'm bringing out this tablecloth that my grandma Mary cross-stitched, thinking it would be a fun addition, you know, to pretty things up a little bit. Which colors to pick? That's a good question, and one of my favorite steps of a bigger project. This selection of colors is in Floche, my absolute favorite fiber for hand embroidery. It's imported from DMC of France, straight from Paris. I've used it a ton over the years, including all these shadow embroidered dresses, as well as that Monet jacket. So I get my fabric into that new hoop thing, cue up a podcast, and get to stitching. On your mark, get set, go! After a few stitches, it's very apparent that this fabric is too thin for this hoop to grip properly. So back to my regular circle hoop. It's all good. We can do. One stitch at a time, that's how things get done. When I get to those little light orbs, I'm wondering how to make them pop. After all, I'm trying to emulate light here, folks. At least that's my attempt. So I'm thinking, can I get light to bounce off them by using some metallic thread? My first thought is to stitch over the circle, hoping that gives just a touch of sparkle. Since I really don't, I don't want to overdo it. I want to keep it nice and subtle, but I don't like that. So my next thought is to create a little grid, but I really don't like that. The third time is the charm. I've switched to a very fine gold metallic thread and weave that through the stitches of the shadow circle to create some flow. And I really love the gold color instead of the silver, and I love the flow that the direction of the stitches has gotten, has given to this whole vibe. So back to the race. February, March, April. Time out for an overused tendon injury. And now we're into May.
You have to be your biggest fan. And when things are really tough and they're really rough and nothing's working, but there's something inside of you that says, I just have to follow that. Because you don't know who you're going to be,
That's the last stitch for the skirt. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The skirt. Can you believe it? There have been many hours into this thing, and that's the very last stitch for all the shadow embroidery on the skirt. We are here, and of course, a lot has changed in that amount of time. However long it was, I don't know. I'll have to go on and see the timeline and do the math backwards to get the time. It's not like I log these things or anything, but my goodness, there she is. The bodice, then I can start tomorrow. Okay, yes. In that time, a lot has changed. My hair, for one, I stopped doing the curly girl method.
My hair is in transition, the transition phase. If you know, you know.
But I discovered, since I live under a rock, hold on. I didn't want to like squeak in the mic. But I discovered the curly girl method probably, I don't know, however long it was, 2-3 years ago. I guess it was about 2.5 years ago, because I did it for a little over 2 years. And, you know, it was starting to do, like, the curl was starting to do, and it was looking like it was headed in the direction of Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman, which I love her hair in Pretty Woman. I mean, who doesn't? But I never felt like it was me. I don't know, but never got really the hang of it. I really miss being able to, like, put my hands through my hair, all of that. So I just stopped it, and I have no regrets. Then, because I had the, you know, starting to think about that, Rory from Gilmore Girls and what's her name, Zoe from New Girl, those two can wreak havoc on my bangs.
Rory Gilmore, like the later episodes, and the new girl, her hair looks amazing. So I should just go get her haircut, right? No, it didn't work very well. So that was my first attempt ever with bangs, and now we've been watching the Gilmore Girls and the last episodes and the last seasons and stuff. And she has this beautiful hair with these beautiful bangs, and I'm like, oh, I could try that again, right? So I'm going to try that again, and we'll see how it goes. I feel like the bangs aren't terrible, like, once I just pointed at me.
Well, Rory during her college years, but, you know, New Girl, I mean, they have beautiful bangs, and I thought, okay, maybe I'll try that again, so I did. Now, to be fair, I did get caught in the rain today. Coming back this morning, I spent at the elementary school. Who am I? I spent the morning at the elementary school volunteering. Like, so much has changed. We are so beyond the trenches of babyhood. I'm wearing like a vintage dress that I made, a vintage Vogue that I made a couple months ago for a trip that I took to, I can really talk, I'm just so excited. A trip that I took to Chicago for a sewing luncheon at a yacht club. Who am I? So grateful. It's like so much has changed. You see the doors open, because this was wintertime when I first started. I had like all the space heaters on me, and now I'm enjoying the springtime. You know, the kiddos are growing up. We've got Everly as our caboose. She's 3 years old.
Happy birthday, dear Everly. Happy birthday to you. And then many more. And you're gonna make a wish and you're gonna blow.
She is an amazing caboose. I mean, she is like all the things. So we're between, well, she's almost 3. She'll be 3 in June, and then Audrey's 8. All of their dresses I've done. Audrey was around 2.5 when hers was done. Daisy, I would have to look and see, like, look at the time stamps on those files and see how old she was. I don't remember off the top of my head, but yeah. So Everly will be around 3. I think I've got a couple more weeks. I did lose about 2 weeks. I had developed tendonitis in my arms because I volunteered for some gardening, and I did too much, and I just developed. But I took it easy. It went away, and here we are. It's okay. It's okay. There's worse things in life. It's all good. It's all good. So the bodice is up next. But yeah, I've got a lot of listening to French and Italian while doing this thing. I got to meet Gordon Brown, an absolute gem of a man. I've never met somebody who reminded me of my papa. And I remember glancing out, and I remember just being like, I just saw it within him. Like, he had that spark that my papa had, and we got to know each other, and he's some flavor of fond of me too, which is like, somebody of that caliber to talk nice things about you is just very humbling. We got to know each other, and his wife works at a preschool at the church up the road, and got to know. I didn't get to know his family. He just talked of them, his daughters and stuff, and I talked of my children, and it's just really nice. I love the mountains. I love the people here. This thing's about to turn off. Hold on. Sorry, I don't know why it turns off at 30 minutes, but for some reason Canon has programmed it to stop recording at 30 minutes. And, anyhow, I don't know why. So I need to get going. Speaking of the school, I need to go into the PTA for their meeting tonight. It is 5:19. I was like racing against the clock because I really wanted to finish it. I saw the finish line and I just really wanted to get there today, and I thought, if you're 5 minutes late at tonight's meeting, it'll be okay, like, it's fine. Oh, they're making me vice president of the PTA. Like, who am I? It's just I'm grateful for where I am in life. I'm excited to be finishing this thing. This will be a collection of when I made Audrey's, like, who knew this was going to be a thing? Look, I didn't. Obviously, you don't know what the children you're going to have, but even had all of them been born already, like, there's been such growth from hers and how I designed it. Now, if I went back and designed hers again, I would design it completely differently, because as far as Daisy's, it's more like her Audrey's, I just had this idea of like the antique handkerchief that you can find like commonly in those sort of stores. And I took it and ran with it. And I remember feeling so overwhelmed when I sat down. I was in the trenches. Henry was somewhere around 6 months old or so. We had a whole thing with breastfeeding and biting nipples, and it was just So I was in the trenches, and Audrey as a toddler was not the easiest. Let's just put it that way. I was by myself, me, myself, and I remember sitting down to that thing going, what the hell are you thinking? Taking on this is not necessary. Like, why are you doing this? And stuck it through, did it in the middle of the night, all that sort of stuff. But I just decided around the idea of an antique handkerchief. Now, if then I went on to do Daisy's, and I designed more like the wildflower, because she is such a sweet little wildflower. And I really love the design of hers because it combines, I don't know, but my goal was to combine the wildflower side of her with her sweetness. And so I have like the little creatures to make it that was my attempt to make it sweet and whatever. And then I, spanning from that, and between Daisy's and this, I did the Monet. Learned a ton in the Monet jacket that I did. And I was like, okay, this is going to be the final big shadow embroidered project for a long time. Of course, I'll be taking shadow embroidery with me, but it'll be the last one for a long time. I just wanted to do the absolute best and really challenge myself and bring all the things I had learned from the previous. I always want to do my best, but it's like I have a lot of experience in this now. It's like, how can I really put it all together? And I hope this is my attempt at bringing all that together into one complete thing. So it combines her personality, the whole lavender. I see purple with Everly. I don't know. Pink is Audrey, yellow is Daisy, purple is Everly. And so at this point, now that this collection, so to speak, who knew I was going to be doing this when I designed Audrey's, right? But now I have a collection of these 3 shadow embroidered dresses. And so that's going to be wrapped up. And now that they're they've been out of babyhood, so I've been focusing on Easter, Christmas, birthdays. And if they request something, of course I will be there to fulfill said request with all the sparkle and glitter and, but those are for the next, phase of life. Easter, birthday, Christmas. Easter, birthday, Christmas. Those are what I'm focusing on. So now I get to sew for myself. And so I keep watching because I really need to go to the PTA meeting, but I'm focusing on really getting a foundation in couture sewing. The basics of sewing, of developing a pattern and being able to manipulate patterns, but also the techniques of patterns. And of course, I've been doing heirloom sewing for 15 years now. Of course, I'll be bringing those techniques with me and they'll be incorporated, but it's just like, it's really nice to be able to layer things, to get in there, to really learn the foundation, and then to know how to break the rules because you know the rules, and then be able to bring this to that and layer. And okay, I need to go to the PTA, but we get to start on the bodice tomorrow. I'm not even gonna wash my cup. I got to go. I am going to be late. I am the VP. They haven't even announced it yet. They're gonna take it back. Oh my goodness, this is an exciting day. I'm just kidding. They're not gonna take it back. They're fine. But I do need to go. It is 5:24. The PTA didn't take it back. I love the parents at my kiddos' school and the teachers and the staff. I can't say enough good things about the folks here in this town. I love my community. They're so chill and understand how the cookie crumbles. It's so nice and refreshing being around folks who don't get their panties all wadded up in a bundle. You know what I mean? Anywho, I'm turning my attention to Van Gogh's Starry Night Swirl, seeing how I should position it on the skirt, but alas, I've made a really, really silly oversight. See, I've got a circle skirt and a rectangle bottom portion to my bodice, and a circle does not plug into a rectangle, nor does a rectangle plug into a circle. And even though it's a silly mistake and it should have been really obvious to me, what was going on, it still took a bit for my little hamster to catch up to this little geometry situation. But I take time out while I stay stitch around the circle on the waist seam. BRB. Alright, so good morning. We've got a skirt that is ready for the bodice. So, okay, with all these designs, one of the things, when I did Audrey's, I wanted it to be a fluid design. I wanted it to go, from the bodice to the skirt. Of course, all the dresses have a waist seam, and I wanted it to go over the waist seam and be really fluid and all that sort of stuff. So with all of them, I've done the skirt, I've embroidered the bodice, and then I've left the little bit of where the seam's gonna go. I've left that embroidery blank, that way I can get her right where I want her after the waist seam. I know, tricks of the trade here. So I made this, I drafted this up on the computer and I measured the space. It's looking like it's not gonna fit, but I measured it. So I'm wondering if I just need to get it to go around the curves and manipulate it a little. I don't know, I'm wondering if I can play around with it a little bit, or if I really need to go back to the computer because I made a mistake with measuring. I don't know. Well, let's see. Hold on. Here's an easy way to do this. We can just measure in real life, can't we? So it's not overcomplicated. If we go from the waist seam, the longest length I have is about 8.5 inches from the waist seam. So do I have an 8.5 inch space from the waist seam that's going to be from there? And I do. So I can fit her on. Let's see about this. Really, this one looks shorter than the other one, so I might have more space here. Alright, let's put her here.
Of course, I've got two butterflies here that I haven't embroidered. They're just kind of like hanging out. They're how would you say they're the word that's escaping me, but I can switch them up and move them around. I purposely didn't embroider them for this reason. So I were to, yeah, that would be pretty, right? Hold on. I'm gonna have to curve this around. How am I gonna do this? How am I going to, that's gonna actually have to go around. Am I crazy? What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. That's the problem. That's the problem. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. So I think I need to go back to the computer because I have this drafted like it's going to be a rectangular skirt, and obviously we've got a circle skirt. So I think I need to play around with making it into a circle.
And alas, the hamster got back on its wheel, and I could see why my puzzle wasn't fitting together. I have this swirl drafted for a rectangle, and a rectangle doesn't plug into a circle. Instead, I need to bend the sunrise swirl so it follows the curve of a circle skirt. So back to my computer for a little manipulation, tweaking it a little here and a little there, curving it, just adding some curvature to the mix. It's like Mr. Bublé said, steal it and then make it your own.
Steal.
I already had added a bit to the circle on the other side before this, so you could argue that I already had made it my own, but now, with the curving, yes, there's been many modifications now, but Van Gogh gave quite an incredible starting off point, so couldn't have done it without him. Thank you very much. And now it's back to hanging out with Felice.
Hi everybody, my name is Felice.
Putting those prints together so I can trace around them and add this take of the starry night to the skirt portion of Everly's dress. I trace out the swirl onto the skirt, and then I just keep on tracing, getting the design to the bodice and figuring that I should match the bodice to the skirt just to double check things, see how the swirl is lining up, since it's turned into a little bit of a hot mess with this whole rectangle into a swirl deal, right?
Spesso l'aperitivo vuol dire un buffet e tu paghi
contro, così bilanciamo.
Okay.
So that one's matching up okay. I might need to add just like a couple more rows to blend it. Just like a couple rows just to blend a couple dots there. Circles, whatever they're little things. That's looking like it's gonna match up just fine. Then over here looks like it's gonna blend fine, except for this back part. This back goes way far, so this needs to stop and come down more like this. Unless I want to make this more round, this more rounded. I don't know. Maybe I do. So maybe, I mean, if I were to keep that, hold on. So if I were to keep it way over here, then it's going to end somewhere around there. And then I could take, let's take this bodice away. So then I could do something that could be pretty. And then I could have more of the gold, sunshine. Although then I lose, no, I don't like that because I lose this line here. No, scratch that. I don't like that. Okay, so we need to alter the bodice. Yeah, I'd rather have that swoop, that curve. Okay, so we match up our marks, something like that. So this needs to end somewhere around there. I'll just ignore all of that. Maybe I'll end it right here because that kind of looks fluid. Cool, cool, cool.
So now that I've corrected my stopping point for the swirl of the bodice, I'm going ahead and doing the embroidery.
Never up, never down, never. Like a theme in a song, clever. Feeling high, feeling low at the same time. Feels so right, then I'm wrong, hoping I'll be fine. But I get up, I always do. I never think, I always do. Never thought I wouldn't jump, oh what a fool. But if I fall, I will get up again. I will get up again. Stronger than I ever been. I will get up again. Stronger than I ever been.
Alright, we are getting to the end of this thing. I'm seeing the finish line, which is lovely. There's other things that I want to get back to. Obviously, it's taken a bit of my time, which is fine. Grateful to be able to do it and have the time and not be strapped to a baby while I'm doing this and on all the things. Just grateful for life. I'm taking this out to finish up this last little bit, just to there we go, to finish her through without having the hoop in the way. I was kind of like at the edge of the hoop. Anyway, yeah, grateful to be doing this. Also excited for it to be seeing the finish line on her, right? There's other things I want to get back to, like my book. I don't think I've mentioned to y'all. I think I mentioned already that I'm going to be moving back home, like all of this office. We're not going to be renting this office for much longer, which is, it's just a great chapter to be closing. You know, I'm grateful that we had the chapter in this office. I was able to heal from babyhood and well, first of all, I moved in here right before Daisy was born. And then so Daisy and Everly spent a lot of their infancy, babyhood, toddlerish times here with me. I'm grateful for that phase, although very chaotic and crazy. Are you jumping? I see you. So you want to make a small Christmas ornament. Let's get into the fun. Jumping. But I'll take it, you know. And then, you know, Everly is 3 and they're all in school. They've all been in school for a long time now. How cool is that? Here goes the bodice. So yeah, I've got my book. I don't think I've mentioned that to you. So I am moving back home within, I would say, probably 2 months, maybe 3 it'll take. Charlie's got her drafted up, the kind of garage storage space we're going to be building. It'll actually have 3 bays that are, you know, car sized. It'll allow for our cars to be stored in like a garage setting. We sold the carport. Charlie sold the carport last week, so like he did that. And then the 3rd bay is going to be enclosed as like a little shop storage area, and it's also we're going to take advantage of the. We're going to take use of the like roof space as like a loft. So the middle of it is going to be. I'm still getting used to this whole bang thing. But the middle space of it is going to be around 8-9 feet tall, and then it's going to go down. So it'll have, like, you can build go up there and work or whatever, like have storage or options. Options are good in life. It's good to have options. So yeah, coming to the end of this, I'll probably be home in the next 2, maybe 3 months tops. And the next big project is my book. I've been working on this book. I don't know how you would phrase it. I started like a little over a year ago, but it's not like I've been working on it for a year straight. I've got the bulk of it written, but now I'm like trying to organize it and trying to figure out the exact words and at any rate, that's the next project I'm going to go back to, and I'm excited to do that. But anyhow, okay, I'm like trying to, anywho, right? Trying to focus. So here, I've got the bodice embroidery done. I've got this, like you can see in the sunshine swirl, I've got one kind of like arc, if you will, little swirl number in a different shade of yellow, and I want to continue that onto the skirt, but I'm not ready to sew it together yet because I'm going to put piping here, right? The piping is going to it's going to make the embroidery hoop kind of a make it work situation.
Make it work.
So I want to limit how much embroidery I do under that condition. So I'm going to do the majority of the embroidery on this skirt without the piping, and then as I merge the two, I'll just have to deal with the piping. But for now, I want to just put them together so I am as close as I can to knowing where to take this darker color of yellow so it flows onto the skirt nicely. Does that make sense? I hope so. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Here we go. All right. Not the best lighting, but am I even in focus? Does not seem like I'm in focus. Okay. Hold on. Just try to. Am I in focus? I don't know. We're just gonna have to make do. Anywho, so. Welcome to the professional production. I've only been trying to do YouTube videos. No, not trying. I've only been doing YouTube videos for like 10 years. Here's where we are. So, gosh, I don't know why you guys watch me. Well, that's another story. So, I've got the swirl. That's all that's left to do is the swirl. I'm going to line this up and to the best of my ability, mark where the darker the darker yellow should lead into the skirt. Here's the pen. Oh, so this book. Let me try to get ahead of some questions that I'm going to anticipate. This book is not a sewing book. It is a book. I've been doing quite a bit of reading. I did quite a bit of reading for about a year or so, a year and a half. And I read all sorts of things. Really no sewing books. These were things like self-help, nutrition, just health, whatever. Things like The Great Gatsby, and you would think I'd be able to list off some more books than that, but I read a lot of books. At least for me, I read quite a bit of books, 30, 40 books. Easy. I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared for a quiz, but I read a lot of books, and the book that I'm writing, a lot of it stems back from my thoughts in middle school, in high school, and as I'm writing it, I'm like, oh yeah, that memory is leading me to that memory, and that thought to I've had a lot of these thoughts brewing since, like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to say, like, go as far to say as I was born with it, but like a lot of these crazy thoughts have just been here, okay? And for good or for worse, I don't know, but I'm writing her down, and just whatever it's worth. Really, the book, so the idea of writing a book came from, I had this paper. It was actually of a stained glass project that I'm going to get back to. I really would like to get back to doing stained glass, and it's let's see, that needs to go like there-ish, and so I had this this print off of this clean glass project that I'm going to one day get back to. And
How do you see these colors?
I was just jotting down themes that I was like, you know, I really want my kiddos to know this and to know that and to, I don't know, if I was thinking like I was gonna get into a freak accident or if I was trying to be prepared that, you know, if I didn't have the chance, obviously they're still young, if I didn't have the chance to like teach them, I'm talking like life lessons sort of stuff, advice, that sort of thing, things that I wish I would have, that really should go here, this one. Things that I wish I would have been told, but also things that I kind of like just knew. And so it's a what am I trying to say? It's a way different book than I've read quite a bit of self-help books and of health books and of just mindset stuff, and I've also dove into the podcast, you know, side of life and whatever, and this is kind of combining things that I've learned from there, but also I think I need to add another row here. Maybe not, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe it could be the last row. Maybe that could be okay. And then this one should go, I'm thinking like it should swirl, so like it's here. Okay, we're gonna try that. So it's combining stuff that has been the crazy in my mind for, I don't know. And then stuff I've learned and stuff that I've learned through life lessons and stuff that I've learned through other people, and just combining a bunch of stuff. And it's a book that I feel is missing on the shelf. It's the idea of writing the book in general, like it just, me writing a book stemmed from wanting to pass on some tidbits of knowledge onto my kiddos, just in case, I don't know, like I was thinking if this is gonna be like, here you go, sorry you don't get a better inheritance, this is it, you know, if they get some horrible call like their mother's in a car accident and gosh, oh, that would be terrible. But then it evolved into like, well, can I challenge myself to making like a really like the self-help book? Like, kind of forget, because I hope to have raised my kids such that they will never need a book of this sort. But there's a lot of people who, you know, our society has not done folks justice. The modern society and people that a lot of people have gotten rich off of the suffering of others. And so I'm thinking stuff like food and pharmaceuticals and just lifestyle, the modern lifestyle. There's a long list of things that, you know, folks they've taken advantage of folks. And this book I've brought in so many things together, and it's weird for me to say this because I don't really think that highly, I don't think that highly of like this. Anyone can, it's a straight stitch over and over and over, a straight stitch. There's a couple French knots. I mean, it's a straight stitch over and over and over and over again. There's quite a few straight stitches on here, but alas, it's a straight stitch. Like, it's nothing, the majority of people can do this. But I don't know, I feel like it's the book that's missing on the shelf. Many of the books that I was reading, I felt like could be summed up in a couple paragraphs. And this book that I'm writing, there is no way to sum her up in a couple paragraphs. I am making every sentence, like, you gotta actually matter, you know? Like, there's gonna be no fluff. So, even the stuff that might appear like fluff, it's really, my intent for it is to seep into your subconscious, is to really reprogram, take that modern crud out so that you can return to what you should have been all along. Let's face it, babies are born pure. Our kids are born pure. They're born all these things of life, of like the day-to-day lifestyle, the healthy day-to-day stuff that builds a foundation, allows you to grow and grow and grow and not be consumed by all of the stuff that doesn't matter. We as people are born with it. I've seen it 4 times now.
We're born with it. It's innate in us. Everything from when to fast, when to not, how to run, the technique of running, the technique of squatting, it's all in us. How to learn a language, babies are born potty trained, all these things that our society has told us. I mean, it's another thing of how people have benefited, how much money has been made off of disposable diapers, and how many of those disposable diapers have actually decomposed. 0. I mean, there's the new version that emerged the last couple of years that are like whatever. I don't know about those, but like the quote disposable ones back in the 50s or whenever they were first introduced, 0 of those have decomposed. Okay, so many. There's a long list of millions and millions, if not billions of dollars that have been sent into the hands of folks that have gotten really rich off of modernizing. And not all modern things are bad. I mean, I'm talking to you through this really fancy camera that, frankly isn't that much. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty penny, but it's not that much money. When the first computer came out, it was buttloads of money. Now I can get this fancy camera and I can put it on the YouTube, and I can do that through a computer that's quite bougie. And sure, there's a couple pretty pennies, but it's not like my life savings. Thankfully, most of us, I'm trying to say this humbly. I know that not everybody can afford to drop a couple grand into computer equipment and camera and stuff, but alas, a couple grand, it's a couple grand. And there was definitely a point in my life where I couldn't have afforded it. So, you gotta start somewhere and build and grow. But it's not like I put 20 grand into a computer, and the computer, it's just, I get what, my book, I swear, is written better than this. This is clearly off the cuff. Anywho, so I've got my things marked, and get back to embroidery. Gosh, what a hot mess.
With the embroidery on the bodice complete, I'm marking where I have that one row of slightly darker yellow so I can bring that same color like on the same row of the skirt, trying to aid in the whole fluid design from the bodice to the skirt. You feel me?
Animal do you like?
Which animal do I like?
Yeah, giraffes, lions, or elephants.
If I had to choose zebras, I'd probably choose a giraffe out of that bunch. What about you?
Elephants.
Oh, I do like elephants a lot too. Sorry, I didn't realize. Yes, I do like elephants probably more than giraffes. You're right. They're very gentle, aren't they?
Yeah, and they squirt water out of their trunks.
Yes, they do. They squirt water out of their trunks.
And get us wet when we have wetsuits on.
Uh-huh, that's right. Gosh, this dress fits terribly. It's something I'm working on.
And they squirt mud on themselves to keep them warm.
They do squirt mud on themselves to keep them warm. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
We don't work the same way though, do we? What do we do to keep warm?
We use jackets.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, they squirt mud on themselves to keep them cool, Henry. They keep themselves cool with mud. I didn't sleep well last night. They put mud on their bodies to keep them cool. But you're right, we do put jackets on ourselves to keep ourselves warm. What do we do to keep ourselves cool?
I think take a nap.
Take a nap? That does help. But we sweat. When we sweat, that's our body's way of cooling ourselves down.
Do you know that?
And elephants have huge ears. And when they get inside it, they flap their ears quickly.
That's right.
And they flap their ears to keep themselves warm, to cool down.
Mm-hmm.
And elephants can weigh up to 40 pounds.
I think an elephant can probably weigh up to 400 or 600 pounds. And as a baby, probably.
No, that's like 3 trains Chickamauga.
Yes. I think a baby elephant can be around 400 pounds. I think an adult elephant can be more like 1,000 or 2,000 pounds. That's a lot.
Yeah, baby elephant can weigh to like 1 piece of an iceberg.
One piece of an iceberg. That's heavier than Daddy is. A baby elephant weighs more than Daddy. What?
Even as an adult elephant.
Yes. An adult elephant weighs as much as a car. What?
So, they're my favorite.
They're your favorite. I like them too. They are my favorite out of those bunch.
Because I like to be older elephants are slower than others.
That's okay. But they're gentle and calm, and they're nice.
Yeah. So when we be nice to them, they'll get nicer.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's right.
Isn't that crazy?
At this point, school is out, and I've got me a little helper. These little earbuds have allowed me to still listen to some language while chit-chatting with Henry. And chit-chatting with him is quite the pleasure these days. The ideas that are in his little head, I wish I could just capture them all. They are quite unique and funny, intelligent. They're just Henry. He's watching the real-life version of a bug's life. As the swirl progressed, there was a little plumbing issue that surfaced. So apparently a clay sewer pipe that was some 50 years old or something finally collapsed. I just remember looking out the window and seeing some 10 guys walking around talking to each other, trying to figure out what to do, kind of scratching their heads. And then that brought a bit of construction to the mix. They fixed it quite quickly, and the gentleman that operated the backhoe did an excellent job of saving the plants in the flower bed. I have a tiny bit of experience with tractoring. So yeah, he did a wonderful job. Y'all, when I started this project, I was freezing in my office. It was in the middle of winter, and now we've got families of geese strutting their stuff.
Just take a look at yourself. Do you really think it's gonna help if you always fighting yourself, trying to forget how you felt? Just take a look at yourself. Can't even be your own friend, 'cause you're way too stuck in your head. How do you think it's gonna end? Nothing that they could do, nothing that they could say, nothing that they could do to take all the pain away. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it don't. Sometimes you win some and sometimes you won't. But we could be everything, anything that we see we could be. We could be everything that we want. We could be everything, anything that we see we could be. We could be anything that we want.
Is yours tonight. Please keep the spark in me.
Somehow you think that you needed others' opinions to know how you're feeling, to know if you're losing or winning, left behind or within it. If you're sinking or swimming, existing or living. Nothing that they could do, nothing that they could say, nothing that they could do to take all the pain away. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it don't. Sometimes you win some and sometimes you won't.
That's the very last stitch. Turn off Mr. Buble, or as my Aunt Bobby would say, Mr. Bubbles. Okay, so it's not the very, very last stitch, but it is the last stitch for this hoop. We are going to be constructing this now. We're going to be putting it together. And then once it's together, then there's a couple more of these things just to connect the bodice to the skirt. So it's getting exciting. Had a really exciting day. Speaking of excitement, had a really exciting day yesterday. We went to the Biltmore. Charlie and Daisy and myself, we, the three of us, got all gussied up and went to the Biltmore. Great time. So earlier this, January, I bought tickets because I wanted that Monet jacket with all the shadow work on it. I wanted that to be photographed there, and I've just been wanting to see it and whatever. And we've got school and we've got older kids, and so we definitely didn't want to go with the whole family. Couldn't have afforded to have gone with the whole family because it's an arm and a leg, at least for our modest bank account. But anyway, so what am I trying to say? Had a good day. It was such a great experience, lots of thoughts. And when you sit here and you do work like this, you get to marinate on said thoughts, let them marinate and kind of think of this and think of that and go this way and that way. I think I have another pin here. Oh, 2 pins, here we go. So one of the things that was interesting about the Biltmore that stood out to me, I mean, obviously it's gorgeous, and to say that it's grand there are no words. There just are no words for something of that magnitude. But one of the things that stood out to me is that when you really looked, yes, it was grand, but really when you looked at it, it was well thought out simplicity. So it was looking at the logistics of what they wanted their day-to-day to be like and making things that supported in an eloquent, simple way of how to do their day-to-day. They wanted the meals, they wanted to entertain, they wanted to read, they wanted to to have that sort of a thing. So I mean, yeah, there's a bowling alley in there and a pool, entertainment, but we don't, us mere mortals don't need a bowling alley and entertainment to look at this, how fun, we don't need all of that to entertain and stuff. And the thing, so I guess what I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, how people are people, right? And I think we kind of all want the same things. And now we execute them differently, one person might renovate a classic car and the other person might, do classical music, another person might do oil painting, another person might do woodworking or sewing or whatever. But we kind of all want, and I would also say that we kind of all want to continue to grow, and one of the ways you do that is you read and you take care of your health, and so having designated places for meal times and having meal times with people that you care about or you want to have conversations with, or you just have some interest in being around, you like their company or whatever. So and you have a pretty place to do that. And we all don't need to live in the Biltmore to have. Charlie and I, we've been really for I wish I was a better speaker, but but okay. So here's an example. We've got 4 little ones. Youngest is about to turn 3. Oldest is about to turn 8. And we've been doing brunch on a regular basis. It's also regular, but we've been doing it on a regular basis for a good 2.5 years now. And when we started, you know, there was more chaos than there was fun. And as they get older and they've, you know, whatever, like now there's more fun than chaos. And, you know, when we first started, I mean, Everly was still nursing. And then we did that that was a phase of brunches where she was still nursing. It was like, you know, you eat over the baby, or you got to do it beforehand, or maybe the timing doesn't line up to when you want to do brunch and the other 3 kids. You get it. If you got kids, you know. But you know, a little bit of time went on, and then okay, so now Everly's just sitting in my lap, and then every once in a while Daisy would so Everly's our youngest. Everly's our youngest. She's the one about to turn 3, and then Daisy turned 4 in January, so she's not quite 4.5 yet. But she would want to sit in Charlie's lap, you know, because she saw Everly. Man, there's a lot of stuff going on out there. She would want to sit in Charlie's lap because she saw Everly sitting in my lap. And so we went through a phase where each of us had a little one in our laps, and we're eating over the little one, and that's fine. And then okay, so fast forward, now everyone's in their own chair, in their own seat, and everyone waits to be served. Like, so we serve each, but they wait to eat until everyone has their food. So that's something we've been working on, because, you know, one of the themes that I kind of like see life through is be the change that you wish to see. And that's things on a grand scale or on a micro scale. And it's so like, if you don't want to see like litter out in your community or anywhere, litter out in the world, if you pass it and you see a trash can in your vicinity, just pick it up and put it in the trash can. You know, like I do that all the time. And so it's little things like that, all the way up to like, if you want to be how many people say things like, oh, I wish people would still do this, I wish people would still do that, like I wish people would still, you know, families would still sit down and eat. And I get it, we're busy, I get it. So maybe what that looks like is you do meal prep, and you do that for your busy week, you know, just because it's easy, and you got little kids, because especially if you're busy with little kids, I get it, you want your logistics to be easy. So maybe during the week when you're your busiest, you know, you do the meal prep, easy dinners, but you can still sit down at the table and eat them together. And then, you know, once a week you do a brunch where like you cook things, and it's not just microwave, like, you know, and it's just like a little more, and it doesn't need to be all that. I mean, often our brunches are beans that have been made from dry, so they're super cheap, because how cheap are dried beans, right? So there's that. We'll do like a bag of collards, already been pre-washed. It says, I say, I don't know, we've been doing that for a while, and here we are. So still kicking. So we do that often. The kids will do like chips and salsa. You know, we might every once in a while we'll do like cut up a pineapple or a coconut, or I mean, sliced apples. That can be your dessert. Sometimes we do chocolate cake, like a zucchini based, like gluten-free sort of chocolate cake. You could do that with pumpkin. You could do chickpeas, you know, what's the word? Cookies. As you can tell, we don't do gluten or added sugar. And that has changed. That's changed. I mean, if you talked to me 10 years ago, I was still doing all of that. But as you grow and you learn, and as you, Maya Angelou's quote is one of my favorite. I absolutely live my life by it. When you know better, you do better, and all of that. So brunch is progressing. And there's other ways. So I've returned now that people aren't nursing. Not people, but you know, now that my little ones aren't nursing, I've returned dresses. I tried doing dresses as I was pregnant and nursing, and actually this dress I bought when I was pregnant with Audrey. I resisted maternity clothes as much as I could, because I didn't want to like invest in this whole wardrobe that I wasn't gonna, I mean, I wear my clothes out. Like, I've had this for 8.5 years. You see what I'm saying? But as I've returned to dresses, I've been drawn to dresses like since high school. It's been a long love affair, and all the years of wearing dresses, I've had folks of all walks of life come up to me, all ages, all walks of life, just love your dress. I love that you're wearing, like, there's something about dresses. I get it. Like, there's something about it, and I'm not saying that women should all be wearing dresses and we can't wear, like, pants. Absolutely, I have a stash of pants. I have a stash of overalls, and if pants are your thing, go for it. Like, I'm not knocking that. Some people look amazing in them. I just prefer, it's fine. We all have our style, but I think really what people are saying when they say that they love it is like when they give me that compliment, is that they love that I have some flavor of style. Because frankly, I mean, our society's kind of gone a little, and that's a little bit of like a change I would like to see in the world. Yes, I like to have style for myself, but also I think that's just like, when I talk about we're all the same, I think that's one of the ways that we are all the same. We may show our style in different ways, but you know what? Nobody feels their best in sweatpants. And especially when you wear like that sort of category out into the world, that is not your best. There's no arguing that. You don't feel your best in it. Are there moments, I mean, if you have surgery, if you're sick, when I was home, uphill, up a creek, without a paddle, in the snow, all the things with my little ones, right, by myself, like, did I have a wardrobe of like leggings sort of things with nursing tops? I mean, I did try to do the dresses. I made a couple of breastfeeding friendly dresses, and I get it. It's hard. I get it. And I succumbed to, my best days were like a nice simple jean from Old Navy, not expensive, and then whatever graphic tees, and those were my best days. And then I had the nursing tank top things, and it worked for that phase of life. But the whole time I wore those things, I was not feeling my best. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that you can be the change you want to see in life, and also it's a lot simpler than you think. Going through the Biltmore, of course it's grand. They've got all the fancy fabric on the walls, and the gold here, and the Monet, originals there, and all the things. We don't need that though. Like, there were a number of places where I saw blue and white. I'm sure there's like a fancy term for it that I'm obviously showing my ignorance to, but they had like the blue and white decor stuff, and I had that in middle school. I remember decorating my room when I was in middle school with that decor. I love the blue and white stuff. I still have some pieces of it, and you can get them from thrift stores. Actually, it's better. It's actually better to get them from thrift stores. It's a fire truck. What are you doing? It's better, like, you get a better price, and there's a good selection of them usually. So find whatever you find beautiful. You could frame your kids' art. Now, not all of their drawings are frame worthy, at least in my opinion. Some of them go straight into the recycling bin. But some of them are really creative. Put that in a frame, put it on your wall. Like, we don't need to have Monet originals to feel good about. And that's the other thing, is when your surroundings are simple and beautiful, however you define that, you feel better. That was something that stuck out to me at that Biltmore house, is that everything had a place, and everything was in its place. There was a place to eat, there was a place to work, there was a place to socialize, there was a place even within your room. There were just designated places and everything, and their rooms were not extravagant. I mean, for what the Biltmores had, like, okay, you get what I'm trying to say. And this can snowball. You compare this with other stuff. Like, if, for example, like if you being the change you want to see in the world, yes, give compliments for things that you like. People, for example, people giving me compliments because really what they're saying when they say I like your dress is they like that I have I'm out of sweatpants and I have some style, okay? And so compliment others, you know, compliment other women that are having style, other men, like whatever, compliment them. If you're, you know, if you could even go further, if you're a woman going, I like what she's wearing, well then you could wear it too. Like, what is she, you know, she's not in a Dior original, like this is an Old Navy thing. This is Old Navy, like on clearance, $10. That could be an event. That could be like if you're a man and you wish that your girlfriend, wife, oh gosh, I'm trying to be respectful of labels and like all the relationships. But if, just for an example, if you're a guy and you wish that your girlfriend was wearing more dresses, maybe the way isn't to say, hey, wear more dresses, like whatever. Maybe there's a little bit of a delicate way. Maybe you could like have it be a date sort of thing where you surprise her, you take her to the mall. Of course, you have to know who you're talking about. Like, I don't want to paint everybody with a broad stroke, but I think that a lot of women would be like, oh, cool, we're going off for an adventure. Let's go off to the mall and like I said, this is $10 at Old Navy. It's you know, I guess I scratched myself. It's got it. I've been wearing it regularly for 8.5 years and it has held up great. Shows no wear really. A little bit here. I think I saw just a little bit there. It could turn into a date thing. She could get a new outfit. Maybe it's not a dress. Maybe it's an outfit. Like whatever it happens to be. Then you guys go off. You could plan a little picnic. So she gets a new outfit. She's wearing it for the thing you've got planned next. You guys have a picnic. You go for a hike. You go to the library. Pick out books for each other. You go off to dinner. You get what I'm trying to say. It starts by showing up and all of that. Oh, there's 2 butterflies. So this butterfly I need to move. This butterfly I need to move over because his wings in the thing, and then this butterfly is good where he is. But otherwise, so there's the butterflies, and then there's a little bit as it connects to the bodice. But I think I really should do that butterfly first before I do the piping. I really wanted to just do the piping. Damn it. I really wanted to do something else besides here. I was like, oh, I'll stick on the piping and that'll be something different. It's all good. It's all good. So it's you can be that change. You can, like, it's easier than you think. It's easier, you know, going through their house. Like, you don't need the gold plates and stuff. Like, get real plates. Get them from the thrift store. You don't even need to go to like Target or nothing. Like, we don't need to be fancy. Just get real plates, set them down, cloth napkins. It saves on budget. It's better for your health. It's better for the environment. Like, it's easier for your life. Like, that was a little bit of a tangent. All right, I should do this butterfly.
First, I need to move this little guy over some. He's kind of got swirled over in the middle of turning the swirl from a rectangle into a curve. So I hit this ink with some heat. I know it's like magic. Every time it makes me smile, I find it oddly satisfying. So now I'm retracing and stitching away. Alright, I finished the last of these butterflies. That is the second one. I'm trying to, like, I'm just on my cell phone here. I'm like savaging whatever. At this point, we can start to put the, we can put the piping on. This is the same piping I've used for the other 2 dresses. It's so yummy. It is, sorry, here we go, end frame. It's so yummy. It is silk charmeuse piping. It's just delicious. You'll see. Let me show you. Grabbing that delicious silk piping from the drawer for this project, here's a little preview of the skirt. And even though I know just enough to be dangerous with these sort of projects, I'm fairly happy with the direction that it's headed. Sure, having the Dior Alturas
Am I saying that right? Atelier. I've only been studying French for seems like forever. Anywho, I would love to have those folks on speed dial. It would be much appreciated, but alas, my little old self is muscling through. And those little critters, I just love them. I introduced critters on Daisy's dress with that whole whimsical wildflower theme, and I think they bring a little bit of sparkle, just a touch of whimsical sparkle. I'm all about it. Alrighty then, let's get on with this piping. First, I'm going to double check some of my work, so I lay out the piping, giving some extra, giving a little bit of extra so those raw edges will be enclosed into the waist placket situation. And then I measure that out so I can verify the length with the bodice. You feel me? From there, I pull the cording out of the end so the future seams aren't bulky, or at least they aren't any thicker than they have to be. And then I trim the seam allowance up on the piping. Next up is simply pinning the piping in place and then basting the two together. Basting, I mean, really, it feels like a must-do step on this dress that has so much of my time, right? It's crazy, too, how much accuracy can be gained by the simple step of basting. Now then, I'm taking a little strip from the excess area on the skirt, try not to be wasteful, all that sort of thing, so I can insert a placket on the skirt center back. Pulling a thread, it feels like another must-do step, the right thing to do with a garment of this nature. Kind of like with the basting step, not pulling a thread, I don't know, it would have felt like I had stalled in the middle of the road. When I do garments of this nature, I pull on all the tools in my little toolbox of knowledge so I can put my best foot forward, and that includes thread pulling.
You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You shouldn't doubt yourself, 'cause you're a work of art.
This lighting is terrible. It's just like I'm backlit. There's no... it's fine. This I used to have over there. Should I move? Let me move it back. Hold on. 1 second. Alright, maybe that's a little bit better. I don't know. It's a low budget production, y'all. So, the piping's on, I was about to say palette, the placket is in. Now we're on to doing the hem by hand. I use this method. I've done it with the other ones. I've done it with a number of other garments that I've done. Oh my gosh, one day I will learn to speak not so chunky. Anywho, so now I'm going to do this rolled hem. I've got a video on it if you're interested on the nitty-gritty of it, but it's a nice little way to do a very narrow hem by hand. It rolls up like magic. Every time I do it, it's like, oh, magic. So it's, I would guess, gonna be 3 to 4 hours to do the hem. Okay, so farmhouse today, so it is 4:30 Wednesday afternoon. I'm going to farmhouse on Friday. Of course, I'm not gonna rush through this thing. I'm taking my time, I'm enjoying it, I wanna do it to the best of my ability. But I think I might be able to get her done before Gab and Gush on Friday. I don't know. I mean, I've got the couple hours left of today and then tomorrow. Seems like maybe I'll be able to get, I don't know. If I stop talking and get to working, then I will get closer to the finish line. So my plan is to trim as I go, do the thing with the little handheld iron thing, and roll her up.
Nothing is forever, you're so keen on telling me. Everybody's worried, saying that I'm in too deep. Keep it all together, move on to bigger things. Chasing all the highs, 'cause I'm not giving up my dream. No, I'm not giving up my dream. Although you don't believe in me, the only thing I need to know, I find it in my heart and soul. If I could find a word to make these end, a single one that made your heart open, I could have been your good friend until the end.
Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue dans cette nouvelle vidéo.
Ça demande un peu plus de temps, mais si vous le faites régulièrement, si vous êtes patient, vous pouvez aussi progresser de cette manière.
In questa puntata di Easy Italian parliamo di una delle parole più comuni di tutte. Una parola che noi italiani diciamo 800 volte al giorno.
Ho 37 anni.
Adesso tocca a voi. Qual è l'errore più imbarazzante che avete fatto in italiano? Scrivetecelo nei commenti.
When you really give something your all, and it doesn't matter what that looks like, I mean what the process or the results look like, all that matters is that you give it your all, and that's when you feel it from inside. You've put yourself into something that's unique, your own, that cannot be achieved by giving anything less than your own, than your all, right? So sure, this dress has many flaws, but I don't know how I would have put it together with a better method. So until I get me a couture atelier on speed dial, I am content since I know it's the best for where I am right now.
Okay, so I've got the hem done, and so Audrey's dress, each of these have been with the goal is to get better every time, right? Like that's, and every dress has gotten a little bit better. This one though, so Audrey's dress was a little bit of a hot mess when it came. Obviously it needs to get lined because it's see-through-ish, right? Like that's how the whole shadow work, whatever. But so the lining of it is this, hold on, is this silk charmeuse. It matches the piping. Am I in focus? Matches the piping, and it's beautiful. Yummy, yummy goodness. It does move around. It's kind of like trying to hold a fish. Bit slippery. If you're new to sewing, I would not recommend this being your first fabric. Stick with cotton. But oh my god, it's just lovely. So though, okay, I would like to get this hem. Audrey's was a bit of a hot mess. Getting the circle hem, like the two of them, it was way off going around the circle. Daisy's is better, but This one, I'm gonna get my foam board out. First we need an ironer, which is so fun. It's one of my favorite parts of doing embroidery stuff is getting to see, I used the a heat activated pen. It's by Friction, and it's heat activated. So you apply heat to it via an iron or a blow dryer or whatever, and it just magically disappears. And it's just like, ah, so nice. So nice. Why did I mark that there? I don't know. At any rate, what was I saying? So let me show you. Let me show you on the skirt. I'm not ready to do it on the bodice just yet, but I want to get the skirts all done because you know, I want to do that before attaching the bodice. That way it stays flat and my accuracy, like my precision. There's a difference between the two words. I don't know which one applies in this situation. I think precision because it's me. I don't know. I think accuracy refers to your measuring devices, whereas precision refers to like how precise a person can get it. But I'm fun at parties. What can I say? At least I know. Anywho, so we are going to ironer. I have an appointment at 8 o'clock. It is 7:15 right now. So I've got to leave here in about 30 minutes. Do the appointment, come back. I think we're going to be able to get her done for tomorrow. I don't know. I mean, I'm just thrilled to get her done. Like, I'm thrilled to get my time back in my day and like be able to do other projects. Okay, let's iron this.
Je voulais présenter un nouveau format. Le premier mot que je voulais voir avec vous, c'est bouffe. J'en ai ras-le-bol. Voilà, le français échoue. Et c'est toujours la même. Ces personnes n'arrivent pas à créer une habitude durable sur le long terme. En général, ces personnes perdent leur motivation. Elles n'arrivent pas à pratiquer le français de manière régulière. Et je le répète souvent, la régularité en français, c'est ce qu'il y a de plus important. Et ces habitudes durables qui vont t'aider à parler français pour l'apprentissage du français. Il va falloir apprendre à créer des habitudes durables sur le long terme. Et je précise bien, je n'ai aucun doute sur votre réussite dans l'apprentissage du français. Parce que vous avez utilisé une ressource simple, dans le sens adapté à votre niveau et surtout qui vous est agréable, qui vous intéresse. Donc,
since I want to get things as accurate as I can with aligning the two circle hems up, I'm using this foam board so I can pin things in place to minimize on the shifting. That way I can pin the hem I can pin the hems together. I'm also, I should apologize by now on my voice. I got 3.5 hours of sleep last night, and then this past week has also not been great for sleep, and my voice has suffered. It's just, sleep is still a challenge after having kiddos. I'm working on it. But anywho, I'm pinning those hems together using the main for the garment, like the main outer cotton fabric with all the embroidery, as a guide for the hemming of the lining, as a guide to hem the lining, okay? With everything pinned in place, that lets me cut the silk lining fabric right up to the hem of the garment fabric. I like the hem the lining's hem to be recessed about 1/4 inch above the hem of the garment. So I'm thinking that this is, a good path forward. Just cross your fingers, toes, and eyeballs, y'all. And with most large, meaningful tasks, I find there's lots of repetition. Sure, there are challenging parts. There are parts where you've got to learn a technique or what have you. But really, it's embracing a ton of reps.
Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue dans cette nouvelle vidéo. Aujourd'hui, on est à Concarneau.
I get around despite the loss. I'm over here, gotta get across. Whether you like it or not, there is a moment meant for us. And now you made it, but I already played this. Not interested, open your eyes, let's get it done. Take my hand, just follow me, shadowing me, I won. Oh, the sky is on fire. The lake has turned to a golden sun. Oh, I'll never get tired. I just wanna dance, just wanna.
So now I'm getting that silk charmeuse back out so I can cut out the lining for the bodice. I'm giving it a slight starch and attempt to make it easier to handle. This fabric, silk charmeuse, while I love it, I love silk charmeuse. It's one of my favorite to wear. Speaking of, I actually just lined it used it as like a skirt's hem lining for a winter dress, and it's my new favorite pro tip over here, if I can, okay, not a pro tip because I'm not a pro, but if you use silk charmeuse or some flavor of that silky sort of flavor on a lining for your skirt for winter fabrics, then it won't cling to your tights that you often wear during wintertime, right? To keep cool or to keep warm because it's cold out. Anywho, back to squirrel, right? Where was I? Anywho, squirrel. So yeah, I love silk charmeuse, but it is like trying to sew a slippery fish. It's very wiggly, hard to keep in place. So if you're a beginner, don't start out with this fabric. Before I cut out the lining, I'm double, triple, I don't know what number we're on, but I am checking again that the lengths are gonna match up, because really, if I need to modify the length of the bodice, well, I can still do it at this point, you feel me? But if I start to cut, then I can't uncut. And sure enough, I ended up needing to add a little bit of length onto the bodice so the waist seams will be the same-ish length.
A little different than all the rest. I'm quite old-fashioned where I had sometimes played chess. And when I'm out, I'm looking for that vintage fling. But all complexions that I adore, so hard to find, these seem impossible to score. So I dream on to someday find that vintage love.
Taking that luxurious silk charmeuse piping and pinning it in place around the neckline and arm side, basting around those edges, stitching them down via my machine. And then pulling out those little ends of cording so the shoulder seams aren't bulky, like they aren't any thicker than they have to be. Now then, I'm thinking I can simply place the two fabrics together, and that way I can transfer the pattern of the bodice onto the lining using the previous curves of the piping as the way to attach the two together. And I want the right side of the silk charmeuse towards the outside of the garment so the sheen of that fabric can peep through some, right? You feel me? So from there, I cut out the lining fabric away and then fixed any parts of the piping that needed a little TLC. Truthfully, I went around these edges multiple times until I got things how I liked them. After clipping the curves, now I understitch all around those curves. And last but not least, attaching those straps. So I'm going to put the right side of the garment straps together by machine. And then the lining side of the straps will be sewn together by hand later on. At least that's the plan. I'm thinking about those buttonholes, which gives me the idea to place a strip of organdy into the mix. I love using organdy as a stabilizer. Really, organdy is my kind of save me card. It is a fabric that's gotten me out of all sorts of hot messes over the years. Now then, since I've got that bodice together, ready to accept the waist seam, now I can prep the skirt so it's ready for that step as well, cutting away at the lining. I'm matching up the placket, the design, and all those anchoring bits, and then basting the seam down by hand before attaching it down by machine. And there she is for the first time all together. Such a lovely moment seeing things at this stage. Oh, BRB though, gotta put in a placket for the lining, for the skirt lining. Details, I know. Now then, after trimming up the waist seam for the garment side, I can turn my attention to the waist seam for the lining side. And well, I've put this dress together a little differently all 3 times. But this time, well, it's quite different from how a dress is typically put together. It's kind of backwards. But I wanted to try out this route since I thought it was going to allow me to be more accurate with aligning the 2 hems. Although I'm starting to see that that might not be the case. I went through lots of rounds of pinning, y'all, trying to get things to come together, but alas, it's not. And it's towards the end of the day, I'm tired, so let's just walk away.
This though, I came home yesterday and I tell you, the wind was knocked out of my sails. Aww. And I was like, I know I'm gonna get to the other side, but this did not go like I thought. Like, you know, have you seen the movie Hitched?
I saw that going differently in my mind.
That went differently in my mind. Oh. This went differently. And especially I have experience with this dress twice before. So I was imagining with the 2 previous times, and I've done the dress differently every time, but I was imagining like, okay, this is the 3rd time's the charm, you know what you're doing. So this was my first one. This one was for Audrey when she was around 2.5. Remember we went to the creek and we did pictures at the creek in this thing?
No.
You maybe not remember, but this I made when Audrey, I started it, I guess when you were around 2 and Henry was, well, he must have been 3 or 4 months old. And so I made this in the dead of the night and in between, in all the chaos. So I did this. And then, thank you. And then I did daisies. And this was after people went off to school. So I did not do this in the dead of the night. I did this on my own time and it was a much better experience. But so this one, the original one, I was like, I just got this idea of an antique handkerchief sort of feel. Like I wanted to do it and I don't know. You get an idea and it's like, you just gotta go for it. But then when I did the second one, I thought, well, how can I put her personality on there? And she's very like spunky and sweet, but sassy. And so I did like a wildflower sort of thing. Isn't that right, Daisy?
Is that a good description? Yeah.
A little bit of spunk to her. So I did like a wildflower sort of thing. And it had little critters like ladybugs and dragonflies and butterflies, whatever.
Bees. If we could take it off
would that be better?
And lay it down. Take it off the so they can see it. Yes.
And all of the dresses are circle skirts, and with the design of them, one of the themes. So one of the themes, there's like words, is there's an off-white, fabric. The other theme is that it's lined with silk charmeuse and it's piped with the silk charmeuse piping that y'all have. I love it. And then another theme is that there's design that goes from the bodice to the skirt, and I'll show you what I mean. This one's the same sort of thing. So you can see the design flows.
Look at that.
From the skirt to the bodice.
Right here's the stem. Yeah, it's a flow.
Yeah. So,
people.
Man, and I look at the stitches here, I'm like, man, these stitches were big. And I remember thinking to myself, what did you get yourself in? And I didn't need to do this, but I was like, maybe I'll just make my stitches bigger. I don't know.
I mean, that's a lot of stitching. That's a lot of stitching.
But look at these stitches get a lot smaller because you can see kids are in school.
They are tinier.
Isn't that nice?
Right, yeah.
That's what happens when kids go off to school.
Yeah.
Your stitches become so much nicer.
You have maybe a little more time. Right?
You don't feel so overwhelmed to get through.
Oh, these are sweet.
So, our youngest and our final of this collection is in the works. And this is what I brought home yesterday I didn't bring it home. But this is what I came home yesterday and I was like, I messed her up. And I know I'll get out of it, but this is a work in progress. So I often jump in the deep end and then I try to figure out how to swim.
Oh.
And I hope that I can. So this is
That's
not
a good way to
everything,
put it.
works out.
I don't know. It's
Like
pretty awesome
there's
to me.
issues for me. So
Okay, we'll go back to overhead.
So Everly, when I think of Everly, I think of purple. That's where the lavender came from.
Wow.
So for me, I see colors with my children. Audrey is pink, Daisy is yellow, and Everly is purple. So this is the lavender thing. It's like the Easter baskets. That's why the Easter baskets are the way they are. So we've got the lavender whole thing. You want to go back to the which way you want to go? We've got the lavender thing. We've got the lavender basket. And then I was like, how do I take a basket? I didn't want to split the basket up, but how do I incorporate the bodice and then I thought, well, can I bring in some light? And I thought, well, the sun's light. The sun is light. And what shape can I make the sun? And who did I steal from? My attempt was to steal from Van Gogh.
Ah.
So you think of, maybe go back to the overhead. You think of the Starry Night. I think it actually is in this orientation now, but I had to take the Starry Night, and because it's a circle skirt, I had to break it. So it went from being like Van Gogh's, I copied Van Gogh and then I twisted it around.
Okay, we're gonna get real close to
and these
all of that
stitches
stitching. Oh my goodness.
are little.
They are very little.
But I'm currently trying to figure out how to put the two together, and I know
what is your problem?
Well, okay.
I don't see a problem.
Oh, many.
I'm not noticing a problem.
There's
I think
many
it's
problems.
gorgeous.
I'll get out of it.
Goodness.
One of the things with Audrey's dress, the two hems on it where the lining and the skirt fabric, like they're a circle skirt, and they're both like the.
Or do they drape it different?
Well, there's that, and I don't know. I also don't know what I'm doing. And then it's silk charmeuse, which is hard to deal with
Because that one wants to.
it's like trying to sew a fish. It just sort of it's not like it's cotton or anything. So I wanted the accuracy to improve on this, and so I kind of put it in backwards. I did the whole dress backwards, and I'm almost there, but I think what I'll end up doing, because I've started to pin it, working my way back, so I think what I'll end up doing is I'll put the two together. I just ran out of time yesterday. When you get tired, you just, especially on something like this, you just walk. I know enough to walk away. So I think what I'll end up doing is I'll stitch it in by hand.
I was expecting to see something tragic, but to me,
and then being done.
It's incredible.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Jessica said that was her first thought when she saw the yellow swirls with Starry Night.
Oh, good.
There you go.
I copied it. Okay.
Wow. That's
I
neat.
copied it. Cool. And I wanted to have some detail, so there is, I wanted some detail, but I didn't want it to be so much took away from the lavender. So I stuck mainly with pale yellows and just did a little bit of emphasis.
You're right.
A touch of color, yeah.
Wow, it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everything about it is fabulous.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
I like the ladybug right here. That's so cute.
Thank you.
We have some other ladybugs too,
Thank
don't
you.
we, Audrey? Here's one right here.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
nice. Yeah,
so
girl.
those are work in progresses.
So what's the deadline on this? You have a deadline on this one? No?
I rather of it. I lost about 2 weeks. I thought I was gonna be done for this, but I lost about 2 weeks because I overdid it with some gardening and I got tendonitis in my arms, and I knew enough to not push tendons. I don't know much, but I know not to mess with tendons, so I stopped. So I lost about 2 weeks. It would have been done, but it's okay. I rather like take my time and try to do it to the best of my ability than rush through it. So
It's fabulous.
thank you.
Fabulous.
All right, good morning. It's Saturday. It's the day after we had our Gavin Gush yesterday. Had a wonderful time at Farmhouse. It's always a wonderful time. I spent a lot of the day yesterday. Mind focus. I talked a lot yesterday. Not used to talking so much. I'm pleasantly surprised that I still have my voice, but you know, the car ride over, it's 4 hours each direction, and Audrey and I just jibber-jabbered the whole time, and then get there at Farmhouse and talking the whole time, and then obviously Gavin Gush, that's the name of the game, right? So, pleasantly surprised I have my voice still, and I got a decent night's sleep. I went straight, showered, went straight to bed last night, and I'm approaching this now with some flavor of a clear thought, as good as it gets, right? So but before, I kind of got myself into a pickle with this thing, but I think I'm coming out of it. I want to get, my objective is always to do the best that I can, but as you conquer the little challenges, like the little struggles that you have, well, now that you've gotten those techniques and whatever under your belt, more or less, now you can move on to chunking off, biting off a little bit more, and then just digesting those little bits, like learning to speak. So basically, I'm trying to get this. Every time I do this dress, I want to get the hem better and better, like more accurate. This whole circle hem and the two skirts lining up together. So I've pinned them in place where it should be. I run my fingers back. I've put another pin at the waist, and so now I think like I'm gonna pin the lining on the bodice down, and then I'm gonna very carefully baste the two together just by hand, and that will solve the issue that I've solved this pickle I've gotten myself into with the waist seam for the lining of it. And after that, it's hand sewing the shoulder seams of the lining, buttons, a little bit of hand sewing the pocket, and some button. She's done. What?
So here she is, all pinned up and nowhere to go. Oh wait, that's not how it goes. Never mind. So I'm thinking I'll carefully baste the waist seam of the lining together, like the lining side together, and that'll get me out of this hole. I don't know. Yes, it's become one of those make it work situations.
Make it work.
But one thing at a time until some resolution has been achieved.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Wait. Before I can do this, I should finish the embroidery. Because,
Donc ici, on peut voir des bateaux de course.
Before I can do the waist seam for the lining, I really should do those connecting bits of embroidery. See? It was a good thing I stopped earlier when I was tired. So I'm drawing those connecting bits and pieces. And then setting up a little embroidery station on this main table. I gotta say, sitting down, well, I wanted a break from sitting down. And another timeout, I zigzagged over the trimmed up edges of the waist seam. So now back to my standing embroidery station. Let's do those connecting bits, shall we? Now then, this hem. Last but certainly not least, I'm trying to figure out how to get the hem to line up some flavor of nicely and get the waist seam together on the lining side. I'm still approaching it with the idea that I can line up the two hems, like the bottom part of the two hems, pinning those positions in place, and then working my way up to the waist seam, pinning that in place there. And my thought then is that that'll allow me to place the waist seam such that everything will be lined up since, well, it's already lined up when I pinned it in place, right? Makes sense. I don't know. It makes sense to me at least. But what do I know? So now that everything is all pinned in place, I'm turning the garment inside out so I have better access to the lining, giving the excess a trimming, going carefully since, well, you can always trim off more, but the alternative, well, it's just a sad story. So for sure, I'm basting around the waist seam, and now I know the really, really exciting part, sewing her down via my machine, which means this dress is just about to be done, right? I don't understand this, but the hem is a hot mess, y'all. Is this really due to the difference in drape from one fabric to the next? I mean, can it add up that much, or is it something else? I have no idea, but I gotta say, fashion school is looking pretty good right now. So let's approach this from another direction, right? I'm hoping that I can pin from the top down, and then wherever the lining hem lands, I'll just adjust it. Thankfully, the lining's hem is longer than the garment's, so I have some area to work with. And on to attempt number 2 of the lining's hem. Y'all cross your fingers, toes, and eyeballs that things work out this time. So it's about 6:30 now. The sun's joined us. I'm redoing the hem on this thing. Maybe one day I will know what I'm doing, but that day is not today. But since I've been seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with this project, I've been focusing on this project pretty heavily for the last 2 months. It's basically all I've been doing for the last 2 months. But now I've been seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for a while. I'm redoing the hem. After that, it's buttonholes, and she's done. So one of the things I've been wanting to do, though, now that I've been getting more time, is to take a morning dip at the creek. I've been doing this for about a week, so I am pausing things. I'm still in my office. So updates about the move. See, I've got my suit just hanging here from yesterday. Here's my towel. I'll obviously grab her before I leave. And then I just come over here and I get changed. So update. I have my foam board here, so just in case, I don't know, nobody sees me. Maybe I can put the camera such that I can change and still talk to you. All right, so update about the move. Charlie has he's found a skid steer. So to do this little, it's not little. Well, I don't know how big it is, but to do the move, we're going to be building a carport garage with a loft on top. I think I mentioned that before. And there's a tree
where we're gonna put it. Now it's a good thing we're taking down this tree because in the middle of the tree, I mean the trunk has seen better days. So it's good that we're taking down the tree before it became an issue, right? Here we go. You didn't even have to blur anything, look at that. All right, so he's found a skid steer to help. We had a tractor years ago and we sold her. We haven't had anything, and this skid steer will also help him since he's returned to sawmilling. That'll help him with that whole thing because he's been sawmilling without any equipment, and the guy he's sawmilling with has been doing the movement of the logs and slabs and all those things. Oh, can't forget. So I'm not against curly hair, obviously. I'm not against curly hair, but I was missing my straight hair, so here's what I do for my morning creeks. You ready? My creek jumps. You ready for this? This is only my second time doing the thing, so here we go. I'll tell you, people who have gotten the hang of this is a skill. This is a skill here. Ready? Ah! I clearly don't have it yet. Okay. I also think I should put this higher up before I... Hold on. I love the look of curly hair, especially the kind that like Julia Roberts had back in the day. But I don't think she wears her hair curly anymore. I do enjoy, like, I enjoy having my hair blown dried, being able to run my hands through it. But it's all good. Pros and cons to everything, right? Ah, there we go. Okay, so here we are. Kind of give a little bit of adjustment. If I don't put this on, then my hair turns into this humid, with it being straight at least. If I have my hair curly, it doesn't matter. I can just go in the creek and it's all good. I did that the other day with my hair still curly. Because the other day it was raining. It was washed my hair day on the day that it was raining, and I didn't want to like wash my hair, like have it blow dry just to walk out into the rain. So I just put mousse in it. So there's pros and cons. I kind of like the idea going forward of dipping into either one depending on, you know, life and logistics and stuff. So there we go. So now I'm ready for my creek dip. On you go. So what was I saying? He's got the skid steer. He found one. He found a loan for it. Everything's gone through. The money's arrived. So now we're just waiting to hear from the dealership on when they can deliver this thing. The dealership that we found, it was a kind of a more, we looked obviously locally, or he looked, I shouldn't say we, I shouldn't take any of the credit for this, but he looked locally, and he's led the whole endeavor. Morning, Josh. How are you? But yeah, he's led the whole endeavor, and as I'm saying, so locally, didn't find anything that was worthwhile. So that's why he found this thing at a dealership that's 6 hours away. Hear that? That is the peaceful sound of a morning mountain creek. It's looking like though it's gonna be delivered next week. So this week is a little bit of an unusual week. The elementary school let out, today is June 6th. The elementary school let out last week. And then what was I saying? The preschool had a week off. No, the elementary school let off 2 weeks ago, and the preschool had this week off. So basically what I'm saying is Charlie's been home with the kids all week. Yesterday, I spent the day at home. I wasn't feeling well, but also we did Everly's birthday yesterday. 3, sweet girl turned 3, and it was a great time. So today is Thursday. Audrey starts her summer camp today, and that is a Monday through Friday summer camp. The preschool girls will go back to preschool next week. That means that Henry is left going between Charlie and myself, and we're focusing on the move. It's good stuff.
I'm thinking if we get the skid steer delivered next week, Charlie will have the tree down and you know, cleaned up and whatever, and then he'll grade the area, move. There's like a weird little hill and stuff. He's been wanting to re-contour that area, so he'll do that and mark out where it is and start doing the footers. We could be ready to have concrete within a week. It's exciting. That is such a good way. And it's just so fun. It's such a good way to start your day. I would say start my day, but my day's been going for a little while. But you know, you get my drift. That is excellent. I've been thinking about my morning creek dips after, like once the move is, you know, once I've moved back home. There isn't a creek within walking distance from our house, so I'll just drive and thought about doing a bike ride, but I was like, I don't really want to like do the wet bike thing, so I'll just drive and do the morning, and that'll be okay. Pros and cons to everything, right? But I think there's gonna be a lot more pros than cons to moving back home. And the office is a great space. It's been a great space, but we just don't need it anymore. We just don't need it anymore. So that's, overall, I mean, that's great. Back to the hem though.
So you don't know what you're doing, and the walls are closing in. Just remember where we're going, and remember where we've been. We can breathe underwater. Nothing can hurt us anymore. And as long as we're together, it doesn't matter where we are. When the ocean's high, if you ever think it's pointless, I will remind you that it's not. And the world will dance around us. They wanna know what we've got. We can breathe underwater. Nothing can hurt us anymore. And as long as we're together, it doesn't matter where we are.
She's not perfect, but that was never the goal.
Show me life, show me love, make a change, time is up. We can wait for better days, but the days won't come. Show me life, show me love, show me life, show me love, make a change, time is up. We can wait for better days, but the days won't come. Show me life, show me love, this is all we got. Show me life, show me love, this is all we got.